E buonasera, buonasera a tutti. Ci siamo di nuovo con il nostro bellissimo The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Edition. Norton, stai calmo con le tue notifiche push up. Adoro che io sono nella dashboard di OBS, ma se passo il mouse dove dovrebbe esserci il gioco si illumina e si sentono i suoni. Ma buonasera, buonasera. Innanzitutto io vorrei ringraziare Zach per il consiglio che mi ha dato sul suppressore di rumore del microfono, perché come abbiamo già discusso ieri, il microfono funziona abbastanza bene, devo giusto regolarmi con la distanza a cui sto rispetto al microfono, ma quello più o meno l'abbiamo sistemato. Quello che non funzionava benissimo era la soppressione del rumore, perché ce n'è una all'interno del microfono, ma essendo vicino alla tastiera, più vicino alla tastiera che alla mia bocca, schiacciando i tasti si sentivano, facendo un po' di rumori in giro si sentivano, riascoltando il VOD ho sentito l'entità delle robe ed effettivamente si sentiva parecchio. E ho installato l'applicazione, la dashboard di Nvidia che mi ha consigliato Zach e è uno strumento magico. Ehm, il test della tastiera, io adesso ci provo. Il problema è che io, se schiaccio i tasti della tastiera succede il finimondo, perché a seconda di cosa schiaccio succedono robe. Se io, ok, schiaccio la barra spaziatrice non si attiva niente. Io in questo momento la sto schiacciando e si dovrebbe sentire molto poco. Vedo che un pochino si illumina il microfono ogni tanto, a volte lo prende come suono, a volte no, però in teoria dovrebbe funzionare. Praticamente non si sente, ok. Se io adesso schiocco le dita davanti al microfono, proprio qua, si è attivato, ma si è sentito pochissimo. Tra l'altro io ho installato due cose, ho installato sia il coso della Nvidia da mettere in OBS, ho proprio aggiunto il filtro, che tra l'altro ho aggiunto il filtro, ma effettivamente, visto che le cose si vedono, se io faccio... Ah no, ok, è già uno, non è stato abbassato, va bene, va bene. Quindi un pochino si sente. L'altra opzione sarebbe invece, provo a fare una cosa, cioè se io vengo qua, dov'è? Settings, audio, microfono e seleziono il microfono di Nvidia Broadcast, faccio apply. Ora mi si dovrebbe sentire, sì, la barra si attiva, il che va molto bene, e se faccio rumore non dovrebbe sentirsi nulla. Qualcosina si sente, se provo a schioccare le dita. Io ho visto illuminarsi pochissimo una volta sola, in teoria non dovreste aver sentito niente. Se mi confermi tazza possiamo andare avanti perché di test ne abbiamo fatti e sembra funzionare benissimo. La voce spero si senta. La voce spero si senta abbastanza bene, perché a volte vedo che si alza ma non troppissimo. Bisogna verificare l'audio del gioco perché sappiamo bene che Iron Harvest ha un audio a palla, che in realtà sono andato a controllare, riascoltando la live, l'audio che sentite voi è normale. Cioè, ci lamentavamo della musica nel menu iniziale, ma l'audio che sentite voi dalla trasmissione è tipo un terzo dell'audio che sentivo io in cuffia. Quindi io avevo le orecchie che esplodevano. Quando c'era l'artiglieria, cioè c'è la sezione della live in cui metto in pausa che dico, ah, non si sente niente con l'artiglieria, quindi fatemi abbassare il volume. Da voi si sentiva tutto. Cioè l'audio era normale, era anche godibile, vedevi l'artiglieria, faceva piu piu piu, ok. Nelle mie cuffie sembrava davvero di essere in guerra. Sei lì e c'era proprio... Ogni volta che sparava l'artiglieria, io sentivo solo quello. Non sentivo la mia voce, non sentivo nient'altro, sentivo proprio esplosioni immense e le mie orecchie morivano. Bello, realistico, immersivo, ma le mie orecchie non apprezzavano più di tanto. Quindi avevo abbassato il volume, ma in realtà in live si sentiva tutto abbastanza bene. Ero io che non sentivo me stesso per l'audio che ho io in cuffia. Detto questo, qua funziona. Io sto bene, fatto... cioè, ho fatto questo sabato a fare un po' di commissioni per la casa, quindi pulizie varie, robe del genere. Dovevo anche fare il bucato, ma non avevo voglia. Io purtroppo non ho la lavatrice a casa, di conseguenza per fare il bucato devo andare fuori, devo andare in lavanderia e ogni volta mi partono via 2 ore, dove non faccio nulla se non fare la biancheria, stare lì col PC e magari lavoro, magari leggo, però sono 2 ore dove non posso fare altro. Ad avere la lavatrice caricherei tutto e continuerei a fare le cose che faccio di solito. Quindi non avevo voglia di andare, volevo continuare con Final Fantasy XIV, quindi quello non l'ho fatto. In teoria martedì ho il corso di francese la mattina e se mi sveglio abbastanza presto dovrei riuscire ad andare a fare il bucato, lavoro dalla lavanderia, poi torno e vado a fare il corso di francese visto che dovrebbe essere abbastanza vicino. E quindi da questo punto di vista dovrei riuscire a gestirmi. E per il resto tutto bene. Niente di particolare. Te invece, Tazza, come stai? Tra l'altro io non lo dico praticamente mai, ma ti ringrazio tantissimo per il fatto che sei sempre pronto, sei sempre sul pezzo. Appena parto in live tu ci sei. Complimenti per... cioè sei più puntuale te di me da questo punto di vista. E grazie perché vuol dire che almeno un minimo ci tieni. Tipo quello che non ha sentito un omicidio avvenire nell'appartamento di fronte al suo perché stava giocando con le cuffie nel ultra soundproof e roba simile. Sì, 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 ma sono cose che... cioè, quando la tecnologia è così potente, sono cose che capitano. E nel mio caso non erano soundproof, ma artiglieria soundproof che distruggeva tutto. Non rispetterei il limite di caratteri. Va bene, allora qua funziona tutto, quindi possiamo andare dentro al gioco. E qua mi sta chiedendo che ore sono. Che cazzo ne so io? Perché me lo chiedi di nuovo? Questa cosa mi mette un po' di paura che abbia tipo perso tutti i salvataggi e debba rifare le cose da capo. Comunque, 21:49, quindi 9, cioè 49 e 44, ma saranno già diventati 45. Andiamo giù. Sei stronzo. 45. Conferma. Ti prego, non venirmi a dire... hang on, ok. Before we get started, can I just say something? Ah, se non sbaglio quando ho controllato i trofei c'era scritto esci dal gioco e rientra nel gioco, quindi sta succedendo qualcosa? Thank you for actually setting the clock both times you have booted up the game. Ok, iniziamo già alla grande. A lot of people don't take that step seriously. They just leave the clock set at 12 and call it a day. Oh no! But you're actually taking the time to set the clock and I appreciate that. Vabbè, that's how I know that you care about this experience. You are paying attention. I don't even have any way of knowing if the times you are setting are correct. Tell you what, I'll make you a deal. Since you have been so cooperative, next time you boot up the game and see this screen, just set the clock to your favorite time. Go ahead, pick whichever time you want, even if it's not the correct time. You have earned it. E vabbè. Alright, I'll let you go back to the video game now. Geniale. Begin the games. Begin the game. Continue, vero? Non è che proprio begin the game dall'inizio, inizio, inizio. Tocca mettere le 4:20. Begin the game.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Rivediamoci l'intro.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened.
Ottimo pensiero,
Something that would
Tazza.
forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Perfetto. Esci dal gioco e poi riavvialo. Rieccoti qui.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Devo abituarmi un po' alla sensibilità. Ecco il new content, il nuovo contenuto nuovo. E buttiamoci, siamo pronti per vedere cose nuove. Non vedo l'ora.
Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Ok, cercherò di non parlare mai in francese. Se torno qua, in content, non posso andare laggiù? Sembrerebbe di no.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
Ok. The end is never the end again.
Far superior to a measly
For
re-release with a few
2-7.
minor additions. Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
Bello come i computer adesso siano più moderni. Cosa c'è qua? Testing two printers at the same time. Ok. Non voglio neanche sapere come possa funzionare una cosa del genere. Investor Showcase, the Stanley Parable 2. Welcome.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
Io vorrei vedere un video del tizio che faceva il narratore. Cioè, il doppiatore immagino si sia divertito un mondo. O almeno lo spero. Questi sono i quadri. Ah, sì, sono i quadri. Salvati nella cartella delle foto. Just the two of us, we can make it if we try. Just the two of us, just the two of us, just the two of us, building castles in the sky. Just the two of us, you and I. Sembra familiare come canzone. Chi cazzo ha aperto la porta? Time to wake up. Vabbè. Mi piace esagerare con queste storie del sequel. Never underestimate coffee enjoyer who left their cup by a leather sofa that faces a blurry room. Vabbè, vabbè, geniale, geniale. Che cazzo fanno? Oh, invece dell'Apple è Crow. Abbiamo trovato il computer di Scargon. Meeting at 2 p.m. Ovviamente. They are back. Two doors. Due, 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 due. Fissatissimi col numero 2. 1. More TSP. 2. Better TSP. Che cos'è un TSP? Win-win. 1, 2. Sequential Mindshare. 2 al posto dell'1. Vabbè. Paradigm Shift. Synergy. Synergy. Brick and Mortar Approach. Envelope Client Centric Marketing. The color red. Leverage holistic value. 1 becomes 2. Vabbè. Oh no, ci sono due di queste piante. Io ancora non ho capito qual è lo scopo di questa pianta. 3 orari da provare. 4,27, 4,20 e 22 e 22. Ah, quanti bei font. No, vabbè, The Stanley Parable 2 col font di The Last of Us. Eh, logo design. Ah, il TSP, Thrift Savings Plan, è un piano a contribuzione definita per i dipendenti e pensionati della pubblica amministrazione degli Stati Uniti, nonché per i membri dei servizi in uniforme. Ah, ok.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, 2 arms, 2 legs. Eh. Who took the red marker? Me. Ecco, questo lo farei io. Questo lo farei. Esatto, Tazza. Volevo arrivare proprio lì. E anche loro volevano arrivare più lì. Volevano arrivare lì. In realtà è 2 piedi. 2 piedi, Tazza. E chi ha preso il pennarello rosso? Io. Bellissimo. 9 Scrum, 10 Design Pitch, 11:30 Break, 11:35 Pitch Design, chiaro, 12:02 Number to Chat. Altro orario che dobbiamo mettere, 12:02. Va bene, non si arrabbi. Crab, The Ultimate Sequel. What the fuck? Sequels are good. Portal 2, Half-Life 2, Batman Arkham Asylum 2, cioè Arkham City, Divinity Original Sin 2, Doom 2, Aladdin 2, Return of Jafar, Dark Souls 2. Conosco gente che non sarebbe d'accordo. Ma che cazzo era quel suono terribile e spaventoso? Oh no, cosa c'è scritto? The prequel to the Stanley Parable. 2 is the sequel to the Stanley Parable. Is the prequel to the Stanley Parable. Ah, no. The Stanley Parable 2 is the sequel to the Stanley Parable. The Stanley Parable is the prequel to the Stanley Parable 2. Oddio, quanto complicata sta cosa. Mamma mia. Every pause button. No, every pause button is a Roman numeral 2. Vabbè, vabbè. L'ironia di questa gente. This way to the show floor. Valued investors. New features. Ah, abbiamo pure il red carpet. New content. Expo Hall number 2, ovviamente. L'esorbitante numero di tazze presenti. Who farted? E c'è chiuso la porta da dietro?
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Merchandising, ok. Welcome to the showcase. New features, new content, new game. New content, the compendium. Office decorations, the Stanley Parable reassurance bucket. The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. What? C'ho paura ora. Che figo, bello. Bella questa come citazione. C'era un Ah, là, il QR code. Bravo. Guarda il QR code. E compra un po' di merchandising. Adesso un virus nel telefono di tazza. Hear your name in the game. Ok, ho paura di sta cosa. Enjoy the new features. Exclusive, the button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. That's new! Mo, sono curioso.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
It's too small, just right. Però non funziona, ok. Try it here, the button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. Ah, si apre. Vediamo un po' cosa dirà. Un sacco paura.
Jim. Sorry.
Ok, non sono io.
Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have the role play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Sono assolutamente Jim e inizierò dicendo «Ehi là, gamberone!» Spero Tazza tu colga la cheat. Tanto te stai smattando per quello che hai appena trovato. Ho il telefono qui a fianco, quindi se me lo mandi guardo subito. Ok, lo tengo qua. E ci siamo Jim.
Jim. Yes,
E
you
lei
see.
ride.
What a thrill, what a rush. That was you. The button described you. Do it again, do it again. Jim. Ooh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the gym button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation. Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much, Jim. I'm putting the gym button away. Otherwise,
No!
soon you'll start to lose all sense of who you actually are.
Jim.
No, maledetto! Mi stavo divertendo ad essere Jim. Mandato. Ok, ci vorrà un po' di tempo, immagino ad arrivare. Ah no, c'è il link qui. If you are more of a prequel sort of person, check out the Stanley Parable. The Kraus Discord. Ok. Taste the sequel. Poi si può pensare di andare a guardare il video. Cioè lo metto, lo catturo con OBS e si guarda cos'è. Adesso però voglio andare avanti.
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
Log?
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
Please no screenshots. A whole new office. Red is the new orange. Chiaro. Oh, che è sto suono terribile? No! No, 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 no. The baby no. The baby is all grown up. Dio mio, no, 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 vai via, vai via. The new updated, the ray traced, more of the same, but in a good way sequel. New features, new content, new ideas. Consistent quality with just the right amount of change. Vabbè. Jump circle, infinite hole. The reassurance bucket. Andiamo al reassurance bucket. Qua office decoration and infinite hole.
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I am happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try.
Try. Allora, voglio leggere questo. Board members, please note that you must use the following terms as often as possible. Synergy. No one but us actually knows what this means. It adds to our prestige. Incentivize. This refers to the metaphorical whip which provides the incentive. Unpack refers to looking for meaning in a big pile of rubbish. Ping. Send a message. Childlike onomatopoeia which probably makes us sound cute. Deep dive. Discuss in depth. Makes a tedious meeting sound like more of an undersea adventure. Good for motivation. Reach out. We do not call. We do not email. We reach out. No one can complain if we are simply reaching out. Like a friend. Like a lover. E vabbè. E vabbè. Tipo la serie Moon Knight su Disney Plus c'era una singola inquadratura in una singola scena, in un singolo episodio in cui c'era un oggetto di sfondo, un QR. L'ho notato al volo, scannerizzata e l'ha portato ad un fumetto inedito. Oh, carino! Leggibile solo scannerizzando quel QR code. Che figata! Stessa cosa con la serie di Capitan Marvel. Appena esplosa una bottiglia, molto bene. Sinergie di incentivare gli usi troppo frequentemente, in particolar modo durante Final Fantasy XVI. Sta succedendo a sto tavolo? Ah, penne fluorescenti. E andiamo dal secchio. Reassurance Bucket.
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
Ah, non lo posso lasciare, me lo devo portare dietro. Ok.
Does anyone
Lontani
give out
cugini
awards for most enjoyable
di
bucket in a
tazza.
video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already. Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Stepniece. In che senso Stepniece? A me piace il blu però. Scelgo il blu, mi piace il colore blu.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get well someday it is.
Questo è un discorso che tra l'altro ho avuto con Zach l'altro giorno. Cioè, se sei indeciso su cosa fare e non hai forti opinioni, lancia una moneta. In base al risultato scoprirai cosa vuoi davvero. Oh no!
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with. No. No,
No.
I've made my decision. We're moving on.
C'è qua? Ah, The Infinite Hole. It won't end. Free, new plus easy achievement. I can't believe it's that simple. It just works. Get it here. Free achievement, collectible. Se andiamo al free achievement. Quanto felice. Get yours right now. Pull the lever. Receive your new achievement. No more steps. It just works.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes, you see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that.
Ma dove stiamo andando? Perché siamo nel backstage terribile? Test achievement unachieved.
Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Pull me, please. Maledetto, mi ha fregato. È una scammata. Non conosco
What other exhibits
la
have you
Mystery
seen
Shack di
yet?
Gravity Falls. The Jump Circle. Ancora. Incredibile. Proprio lui. Zero tre 44. Mi stai cercando di dire qualcosa, gioco? Oddio, potrebbe tranquillamente essere semplicemente una citazione a coso, com'è che si chiama? Il Confusion Ending. L'ho sentito nominare Gravity Falls, ma non l'ho mai giocato e non l'ho mai visto. Se è
You
un
know
gioco.
what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's a... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle. Oh well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
Oh no! No! Maledetto. No jumps remaining. Player tears. Devo piangere dentro questa tazza. Ah, è una serie animata, ok. La tazza per le lacrime di chi ha finito i salti. Expo Hall 2 Guide. Ok. Madonna che complicato. Jump Circle. This map. Free achievement. Q. Ok. B. The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. B sta lassù. Chiaro. Merch. Z. Settings World Champion. Scusa? Non me la ricordo. The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. B2. Ok. 3. Office Decorations. Ok. Epilogue. Ok. Collectibles a 9. Dov'è? Là, va bene. Infinite Hall. K. Ci andiamo poi. E Exit E. Ok. Quindi là c'è l'uscita. Ma cos'è il settings? Dovrebbe essere qui, ma non c'è niente. Io so che c'è un trofeo che ti dice di mettere le barrette su tutti i numeri possibili. Quindi dobbiamo attivarlo per attivare lo stand qui, che se no non si attiva? Che infamata. È follia. Andiamo ai collezionabili. Can you find them? Can you find them? Can you find them? Collect them all. Andiamo, collezioniamoli. Oh.
Ah, collectibles.
Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Dio, che paura. 1 su 6. E niente. Dobbiamo trovarli tutti.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Ne avevo vista una di statuina, se non sbaglio. Nel new content. Cazzarola. Dov'è la mappa? Qua. Chiaro. L'uscita è di qua. Noi ci andiamo poi. Andiamo all'Infinite Hall. Che cosa, tazza? Cosa ti ha ucciso? Un cuscino, incredibile. Oh no. Oh no. Che cazzo ci fa questo grafico qua? Time like infinity, distant past, space like infinity, distant space time, falling, hole like infinity. Dio mio. Opening rim, depth, infinite, surrounding area, hole entrance, infinity, infinite hole chart. Hole, depth, space, more hole, infinity, falling. Non si sa. Science, more. Educational use only. Vabbè, it just keeps going. E vabbè, chiaro, capisco. Ah, tutte per sì, molto ansiogene.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
Madonna! Che mo sale la bambina di The Ring. Che cazzo di paura! Presente quello che capivo io mentre tu giocavi a Everybody's Gone to the Rapture? Science, Hall, Infinity! Cosa? More Hall! Capisco, sì. Quella è tipo la mia giornata quotidiana all'osservatorio. Ci vogliamo buttare? Fa un sacco paura. Potevano metterlo con le decorazioni carine, cazzo ne so, le pareti rosa. Perché i mattoni orribili? Lo so. Io tornerei all'epilogo per vedere se c'è qualcosa di nuovo all'epilogo. Non voglio uscire. Però ho paura del buco dove cadi all'infinito, perché potrebbe essere un finale di questa cosa e non posso fare il resto. Faccio un salto all'epilogo nel mentre tu scrivi. Oh wow. Sarebbe carino vedere se succede anche qua. Ah, tra l'altro io qua su non c'ero. Oh. Ah, ecco Settings World Champion qua su. No, facciamo prima questo allora. Cazzo, devo farlo per aprire la porta. No, è follia. È follia. Qua non succede niente. E proviamoci allora. Settings. Questo qua. Ah, lo posso fare a mano. Adesso perderemo 30 anni a farlo, ma devo farlo. Ho bisogno di aprire quella porta. Ok. Oh, capisco. Minchia, quanto cazzo è grande sta roba? Quante impostazioni ci sono? Ah, infami. Oh, ce l'abbiamo fatta. First person shooter, second person shooter, plasma rifle, Joe's favorite, play of the game, Windows. Plasma rifle. Ma chi è Joe? Chi è? È Joe, mamma. Chiaro. Ok. Adesso audio. Allora, c'è un trofeo del gioco che ti dice metti le barre delle impostazioni su tutti i numeri.
This is the
Ci-
story of a man named Stanley.
Che paura. E qua c'è una zona che cita quel trofeo e la porta è chiusa perché io quel trofeo non ce l'ho. Quindi voglio vedere se spostando le barre su tutti i numeri mi dà il trofeo e di conseguenza mi si apre la porta.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Ho capito. I trofei di Stanley Parable. Che trofei ti aspetti da questo gioco? E giustamente il nome del trofeo è campione mondiale di settaggio dei giochi. Eccoci, regola tutti i cursori scorrevoli nel menu su tutti i numeri disponibili. Trofeo ottenuto. Siamo salvi. Bene, possiamo uscire finalmente. E quindi ora mi avrai aperto quella porta, vero? Hai un gioco da suggerire al termine di Stanley, ok. Eccola, si è aperta! Si è aperta davvero!
Aha! I can see you've gotten the Settings World Champion achievement. Well done. You've experienced every setting, traveled to all corners of the settings menu. There's nothing you haven't seen. So, just for you, in the Stanley Parable 2, I'm including an entirely new setting, something called bumpscosity. What exactly is bumpscosity? Well, I haven't quite figured that part out yet, but I just know that you'll be able to adjust it on some sort of slider, and that it'll be available from the settings menu. We'll sort the rest of the details out later. I hope you're looking forward to trying out every level of bumpscosity in the Stanley Parable 2.
They will never set the setting sliders to every possible setting. Ah! E niente. Datemi il mio trofeo, Settings World Champion. Great job, you did it. Vediamo se l'ha messa già qua la nuova cosa. C'è! Oddio, c'è! Ok, mettiamola ad 1. Che succede? Non noto nulla. Mettiamola a 2, che è 12. Mettiamola a 50. Non capisco cosa faccia. Lui ha detto che non fa ancora niente, cioè che non sa cosa fargli fare. Boh, mettiamola a 1000, giusto per. Ma guarda, il criterio importante dei giochi della domenica per ora non è che siano indie, ma che siano brevi. Perché l'idea è poterli giocare senza dover impazzire, cioè senza dover impiegarci troppo tempo facendo un appuntamento una volta a settimana e fare mesi e mesi, che poi mi dimentico le cose, eccetera, eccetera. Finché si tratta degli RTS, per me va bene, ma per giochi dove devo stare dietro alla storia e seguire diventa un po' più difficile. Poi che siano indie o AAA importa poco, finché la durata è breve. Quello che mi interessa sono più i contenuti. Please don't touch anything. Molto veloce, uno di quelli che sono molto brevi ma con tantissimi finali. Ok. Ok. Posso tenerlo in considerazione. Perché se no l'alternativa sarebbe quella di modificare lo slot della domenica e iniziare a fare anche giochi puzzle. Anche se fare una volta a settimana è un po' complicato per lo stesso motivo che ho detto prima. Ok. Vabbè, buttiamoci.
You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite whole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things. Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out.
Pensavo di morire
I'm a
tantissimo.
liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I
You
think that
mug.
the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the whole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
E se aspetto, che succede? Canon Stanley ha le gambe in fibra di titanio. Assolutamente sì. Io per un attimo volevo teletrasportarmi perché avevo paura che ci fosse il fondo e morissi. Invece no. In The Stanley Parable 2 Stanley è immortale. Non dici nulla, narratore? Davvero? Va bene, allora mi teletrasporto.
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
Andiamo. Oh no!
You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, yep, that's an infinite hole right there. Goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh, no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of... Oh. Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time? I couldn't help but
Sì?
feel like you spent a little less time in there than you did before.
È anche più grande lì, quindi sì.
admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again... there's nothing
Abbiamo
to do
visto
here.
questi
If
tre
you decide
neuroni.
you've had enough of the hole, you can hit the teleport button and come join me up above.
Sappiamo tutti cosa sta per succedere. Non c'è bisogno di specificarlo, vero?
Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. I really do have so much more to show you and to talk about, and I've had enough of the hole
Andiamo.
for a lifetime.
Ops.
Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where... Wow, okay. Yeah. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less infinite. I suspect that I'm starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top and we'll see if it gets any shorter.
Ok, anche lui adesso vuole che ci buttiamo di nuovo. Sì, sì, anche secondo me.
Well, there it is.
Oh,
The shame
ah.
of my lie has come to haunt me. Not only is the hole not infinite, but it's barely even a hole at this point.
Il narratore è uno di
It's
noi.
more of a concavity, or even a very aggressive divot.
Il narratore ha il terzo neurone, tazza.
How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh, who am I to judge? You just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button when you're ready to move on. Is the, teleport button not working? You sure? Well, I mean,
Abbastanza, sì.
I really don't have an explanation. It was working just a moment ago. Try it again. Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else. Take care, Stanley. I hope you and the hole have a wonderful rest of eternity together.
No, se n'è andato davvero. Aiuto. Che cazzo è stato? Ci sono dei seggiolini? Oh, stiamo scendendo. Bellina la musica. Siamo solo noi due, vero? Con il secchio a fianco. E vabbè. Io non so neanche più. Non so neanche più che cosa dire. Beh, siamo solo noi due. Già che siamo qui potremmo, sai, no? E questo è il problema, Johnny, non siamo soli! Ciao, io sono Satana. È bellissimo. No, 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 lo facciamo dopo. Voglio sentire la musica, poi cambiarla ancora. E poi si cambierà la reality. La realtà. Butta quelle casse, narratore. Questa è molto più horror, molto più ansiolitica, ansiogena. cazzo è sta cosa? Sì, tipo la stazione radio. È una radio un po' satanica.
Stronger. Now you're no longer using up the space of mine. My head's stronger. Now you're no longer using up the space of mine. My head's stronger. Now you're no longer using up the space of mine.
Sono quelle che ci piacciono.
My head's stronger.
Ah no, ok, continua. Una scimmia. Questa sembra al contrario. Qua sarebbe da registrare e ascoltarla al contrario. È inquietantissima. Questa è ancora più inquietante. Vabbè, Tazza sta nel VOD. Puoi andare indietro nel VOD, clippare e ascoltare col registratore. Tanto è andata in loop più volte, non abbiamo perso niente lì. Oh, ma sono tutti diversi, non sta ciclando per niente. Ma anche questa è ansiolitica. Ma seriamente, che cazzo sta succedendo? Ci sono delle voci in sottofondo. Prima o poi si andranno in loop. Non può andare avanti all'infinito. È davvero l'Infinite Hall. Questo è SMR. Mom, come pick me up, I'm scared. Ma perché fanno una più paura dell'altra adesso? Che cazzo sta succedendo? Si stanno ripetendo ora. Una bella canzone del K sarebbe bellissima.
My headstrong.
Ah, ecco Tazza. Tutto tuo. Finito? Posso andare? Ok. E no, cambia. Ne abbiamo una normale. Teniamoci corvi. Come change yourself? Ma che cosa? Ma che fine ha fatto la canzone bella? Cioè, hanno lasciato solo quelle terribili da ascoltare. Cosa? Cosa cazzo sta succedendo? Oh no, ho sbagliato.
Stanley? Stanley! Stanley!
No!
Good, you're awake. It seems you had sort of dozed off there, drifting
Dio
away
mio,
to dreamland.
che cazzo di incubo!
Because this hole is just so darn fascinating that I want you to be wide awake for every second of it. You don't want to miss a single moment.
No!
So how about if I just pop in from time to time and wake you up to keep you really truly focused on the hole? From the looks of
Pietà!
things, you and I will have many, many years here in this hole, and I'm looking forward to all of them. Stay alert, Stanley. I'll be back. Toodle-pip.
Oh no, non di nuovo! Aiuto! Oh, ok, meno male. Ce l'abbiamo fatta. Oh,
Here we are. Go on. Try out some of the new features.
oh. L'ho corretto, Mostly Infinite Hall. E... You heard Jim in the game. The button that says Jim. Chiaro, sta cambiando tutto. C'è ancora il bottone o è ancora scomparso? Ok, va bene. Ok, non c'è più il bottone. Ho molta paura ad ascoltarlo, al contrario. Potrebbe essere tranquillamente un messaggio satanico. Mostly Infinite Hall. Tocca. Tocca tornare al Mostly Infinite Hall. Vedere che succede. No! No! No, dai, infame, me l'ha chiuso. Maledetto. Avrò la mia vendetta. Questa vita o nell'altra. Sinceramente no. Cioè, ovviamente se hai solo il file audio non puoi sentirlo al contrario, ti serve un qualche strumento. Però immagino che una velocissima ricerca su internet mi potrà aiutare a trovare la via. Se non ricordo male, tu sei da telefono, quindi immagino che per te fare la ricerca non sia ottimale perché dovresti uscire dalla live.
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
Quanto inquietante quella roba.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind.
Sì.
Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2.
Peggio.
Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe
Hold
that's
on,
it.
let me cook.
I
Let
can
him
take
cook.
the original
Let him
Stanley
cook.
Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2." Let me see if I can whip something up. All right.
Let the narrator
Go
cook.
ahead. Take a look.
Oh! Adesso il menu è rosso. Red is the new orange. Begin the game.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company
Oh
in a
no!
big building.
Ci
where
sono
he was
davvero i
employee
palloncini!
number 427.
Aiuto!
427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened.
It's Stanley
Something that
Parable
would
2.
forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
I
All his
palloncini!
coworkers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I hate Monday.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
No, il secchio!
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Quanta tranquillità questo secchio.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Qua ci sarà il buco. Dai che qui c'è il buco.
No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes.
No.
Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Oh, no. Stiamo scherzando? Ci sono le statuine collezionabili!
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these. only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Sì, e mo come scendo? Narrator? Come torno indietro? Ah, c'è un passaggio qui. Incredibile. Ok.
Okay, this is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore.
Buonanotte, tazza.
I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can
È in reverse.
monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get me. What's that? Who's there?
Camborrata? Ok. Ora sono curioso di sentire il file audio che ha mandato Tazza. Ho fatto partire ma non sento nulla. Ah no, ok. Questo non ho capito, però fa un sacco paura sta cosa. Buonasera, Giuto. Dio mio santissimo, quanto inquietante. Porca puttana. Porca puttana. Mm, Siamo andati avanti. Siamo andati nel new content. Abbiamo fatto il pozzo. Il buco quasi infinito. Ed è partito un trip assurdo. Veramente assurdo. Dove potevi cambiare tutte le impostazioni, cambiare la tua percezione, cambiare te stesso, cambiare aspetto. Tutto si poteva cambiare. E tra le percezioni da cambiare c'era quest'audio. Una voce femminile abbastanza sofferente che diceva cose incomprensibili. Palesemente al contrario. Quindi Tazza ha registrato l'audio, l'ha invertito, me l'ha mandato, l'ho appena ascoltato e... Cioè, l'ho fatto dopo aver ascoltato un'altra videocassetta al contrario. Cioè, io sono andato a raccogliere una statuina, sono andato indietro in un cunicolo, cunicolo, mi sono trovato in una stanza piena di videocassette, cioè non videocassette, di cassette, quelle vecchie, e porca puttana, c'era una roba, l'ho fatta partire, si vedeva la cassetta, c'era l'impostazione in reverse, evidence 257, 252, una roba del genere, ed è stata di un inquietante, di uno spaventoso. Dio mio, possiamo rifarla? Se voi siete qui, volete sentire queste cose. Ho fatto il buco. E cioè, se volete, io adesso faccio ripartire l'audio che mi ha mandato Tazza. Se voi riuscite a capire. Allora, per prima cosa, tolgo l'audio del gioco. Perché è. Settings. Red is the new orange. Audio. No, in realtà qua va bene che non c'è la musica. Non devo neanche togliere il sonoro. Allora, io faccio ripartire l'audio che mi ha mandato Tazza. Questa è preso dal buco. È uno dei suoni che c'era nel buco ed era al contrario. L'abbiamo invertito e dice queste cose. Non si sente? Allora aspetta. Alzo il volume da OBS e poi lo riabbasso.
I wonder, could we ever flow together? Or are we two twin souls finding each other in the wrong lifetime? I have you on repeat, grasping for tender moments I hold on to like delicate keepsakes. They are so few and far between, and I'm grateful for the memorability of each moment. Moments wrapped in romance that end with bitter sunrises and goodbyes. Moments so fragile and rare that I wonder if they would have the same taste if not such a delicacy. But I'd still devour you. As I lay here and recall years of wavering emotions, suppressed desires, and volcanic explosions that retreat into dormancy. I wonder, could we ever flow together? Or are we two twin souls finding each other in the wrong lifetime? I have you on repeat, grasping for tender. was nog geweest, maar dat gespeeld voor mij. No way.
Ah no, questo penso sia l'audio in reverse, perché dura il doppio del primo audio che mi ha mandato Tazza, quindi questo coso ti mette sia l'audio al contrario e l'audio normale. E porca troia, esatto, parlava di Two Souls, Each Other, Wrong Lifetime, a un certo punto diceva Together. Ok, no, zitta, ti prego. Parlava di Delicacy, Taste Again the Delicacy, però difficilissimo da capire. E cioè, questa cosa è veramente inquietantissima. Dio mio, adesso andiamo a fare
All of his
l'altra cosa super
co-workers were
inquietante che ho
gone.
appena
What could it
fatto.
mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ci dobbiamo andare lì.
Stanley lifted the bucket into his
Secchio.
arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over
Ti
him.
prego, dammi la forza, Secchio. Sei l'unico amico, l'unica cosa che mi rende sereno di affrontare
Stanley
questo gioco
clutched
che è
the bucket
diventato
tightly to
horror.
his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here
Ora.
it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was it? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Io soffro tantissimo a rifare sta cosa.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go
Però
to the
il
meeting
bucket mi
room.
fa
Go
straridere.
somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Ho preso la figurina che stava lì e sono venuto qua dentro. Adesso, questa cosa è fottutamente inquietante. Io mi sento proprio male a rifarlo. Però rifacciamolo per la scienza. Dio mio. Narrator dialogue. Adesso ascoltatevi sta cosa, Madonna Santissima, e ditemi se non fa cacare sotto. Anche questo è in reverse.
This is day number 295. Tape number.
Perché il
I don't
tastino è
even
sul
know.
reverse.
I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so. What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get me. What's that? Who's there? Caporata.
Io adesso, come cazzo faccio ad andare avanti in questo gioco senza cacarmi sotto ogni volta?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Gamborrata.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps the confusion and the chaos all seemed to
Dio
melt
mio.
away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
Molto
And here it
Lovecraftiana
was.
come
Had the
idea.
bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room?
Se io aspetto
Yes,
qua
Stanley thought
con
to
il bucket,
himself.
che
Yes,
succede?
perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
Io spero che adesso non inizi con le versioni horror, che mo compare gente che mi insegue. A parte che lui
True,
parlava
being
del
here with the
bucket.
bucket was a grand adventure. Stanley reflected on all they'd been through together. First, walking through the door on the right, then walking to the lounge, then arriving at the lounge.
avere
What a
il bucket vuol
thrilling
dire che
journey
qualcuno mi
the
sta
bucket had
cercando.
inspired. Perhaps this was where the bucket felt most truly at home, here in the employee lounge. Perhaps it's the only place a
vissuto
bucket can
il
even
buco.
feel at home.
Ma quanto inquietante il buco. Filtro rosso, voce che parla al
Stanley
contrario.
decided to just give the bucket absolutely as much time as it needed to be in the lounge. Clearly, the bucket and the employee lounge shared a special connection.
Ok, possiamo andare.
But finally, the bucket was done being in the lounge, and they took the first open door on their left to get back to business.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was
Praticamente
firmly
rifare
convinced
tutto
that
il
the bucket
gioco col
had spoken to
secchio.
him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Allora, a parte rifare tutto il gioco col secchio, i main objective adesso sono...
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
cercare le statuine, ne ho 2 su 6, me ne mancano 4. Cercare i contenuti della new content che sono stati messi qui dentro. Abbiamo trovato il bucket, bisognerà trovare le altre cose, il pulsante che dice il tuo nome, la macchina dell'achievement magari, e così via. E poi, continuare ad andare avanti finché ho input per fare cose nuove.
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
Dai, vediamo che succede col bucket.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
Eccolo. Stanley, it's me, your bucket. Press G to take me to work with you.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head. Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well?
To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object?
Dov'è il mio bucket?
I want to say
Ah,
something to
eccolo.
him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
Il bucket.
Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it would ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else. You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from, me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is this awful bucket, this stupid hunk of metal.
Just to ignore anyone in your life except for me. E vabbè.
It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
You believe I'm real, don't you, Stanley?
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
See to relive this same day with me over and over.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket? Oh no. I'm having feelings. For the bucket.
Dove?
No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation.
Mezzanotte e 13. Il mio bucket. Perché ci sono le candele nella padella?
Stanley, give me the bucket.
No.
Give it to me. Give me the bucket,
No.
Stanley.
È
I
mio.
need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
Back to work, Stanley. Ok. Cosa stracazzo è appena successo?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply...
Warmth spread
Il
through
secchio ha
Stanley's
ucciso
arms. With the bucket in his arms
il
again,
narratore.
he was home.
Stanley clung the bucket to his cheek. Could his co-workers really all be gone?
Non posso più passare? Ah no, si può, si può. Ok.
Yes,
Whispered the bucket into Stanley's ear.
We've done it. We've escaped from that dull office and that pesky narrator. At last, out here in the white void, we are alone. Now, and for the first time, I can reveal to you my true self.
The bucket began to tell Stanley of its life and its history, of the countless wars it witnessed, desecrating the land and lives of untold numbers of innocent humans, and the bucket's own complicity therein, of sadness and regret, and the many years it spent dwelling on the actions it might have taken to curb the madness and the decay, if only it had been stronger, of hope and redemption, and its crusade to uplift the stock of life for the common man, to manifest justice where none existed, and the bittersweet reality of time, to see one's dreams and wishes met halfway, meted out in parcels like charity, and abandoned as soon as the warm glow of inspiration begins to dim. The opportunities to do so much more,
There was so much it could have done, perhaps, the bucket wondered to itself. Perhaps if it had seen its own darkness with a clearer perception. This was way too much for Stanley.
What are you talking about?
He screamed.
You're a bucket!
To this, the bucket furrowed its brow.
No,
Said the bucket.
not since the evil wizard Gambhorata first ensnared me in his machinations as payback for the sacred amulet I stole from his treasured vaults. I was young back then and could not conceive the ramifications of... No!
Stanley screamed even louder this time.
This is stupid! You are a bucket! This is so stupid! Why are we even doing this?
As Stanley screamed and screamed and screamed, the bucket revealed its true form, transforming into a mighty beast of untold power, its fangs glistening like... My God, Stanley, you did it. You saved us from the bucket. Thank God you already had all 12 emblems of sages and knew the incantations to summon their true power. Otherwise, we would have easily been overwhelmed by the bucket's power. I'm speechless. You've demonstrated such bravery here today. Come, let's restart the game, and we'll agree to never again go trifling with this bucket, nor the dark magic cast away inside of it.
No. Ma sono dei geni.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around.
Sono dei maledetti geni.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room. But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to
Alla
him,
Triforza?
telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up
Cosa
there I need you
facciamo
to
per
do.
Stanley 2?
Stanley did not question why
Lo
or
stesso
how this
gioco,
bucket was
ma
speaking
con
to
il
him.
secchio.
It should
E
have
un
alarmed him, of
botto
course,
di
because
lore in
buckets
più.
can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Ah, giusto.
Now pick
Non ho
up the
riabbassato
phone,
BS.
said the bucket.
Bravo.
Pick up the phone and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
Prova. Sì, supero. Sì, ok, ora dovrebbe superare l'audio, quindi si dovrebbe sentire bene me. Poi fatemi sapere di nuovo se è troppo alto o troppo basso. Grazie, Giuto, che mi sono dimenticato.
Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke. Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket. Can't you see? Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it. But there isn't exactly an instructional video on comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is. It's sitting right here. Let's take a look.
What is comedic timing? What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes. Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh,
In all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny." Let's practice screaming, "I'm Dunny with the funny" now.
I'm Danny with the funny.
Good. This saying is a perfect example of expectations management, which is the cornerstone of good comedy. Finally, it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective survey should be no less than 10 pages long and should include the same question reprinted several times, just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all. Just remember to let them stop laughing at some point, you gut-busting little scamp. After all, we're each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invaders who threaten our very existence and who very likely die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause, just as our children must do after us, and their children after them. Godspeed, and may Earth reign supreme.
Prima era 10 su 10, adesso è 15 su 10.
Video is a little outdated, isn't it? Well, no matter. I think the fundamentals of proper comedic timing are still as relevant today as they were back then. So with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back.
Oh. Sì?
I can feel it. This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous. How absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we had the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley.
The bucket spoke.
The bucket spoke. Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things. Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left. What? We're back at the phone already? No. What's going on? There was supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point, a dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land, or not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the two doors room. What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp. I think I need to go back and rewatch that instructional video again. Yes, surely that will help me improve my Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left. What? We're back at the phone already? No, no,
Ok.
no.
Si sta ripetendo, bene.
Here we go. You ready?
Proviamo un'ultima
When
volta e
Stanley
poi
and the
andiamo a
bucket came
sinistra.
to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left. What? We're back at the phone already? No, no, no.
Ok, sì, si ripete semplicemente, bene.
Here we go.
E allora
You
andiamo a
ready?
sinistra.
When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of 2 open doors, they entered the door on the left. No, 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 no. You were supposed to go through the door on the
No,
right.
come?
leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this is all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's done. The joke
niente.
is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley. I'm
Oh.
going to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud?
Oh.
Stanley, you
Ah,
love
yeah.
the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison. Yes. Well, let me try that again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame over how unabashedly in love with a bucket you are. No? Still not? Is it the delivery? Pale with shame. Pale with shame? Pale... What's another word to describe a bucket? Stanley, this bucket is so metal, I think I saw it playing guitar. No. We're getting away from making fun of Stanley's obsession with the bucket, which was the whole point of this. I'm no good at these jokes. I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional videos. Let's see.
No. Sorry, Leroy. Che è successo a Leroy? Dov'è sto telefono? Sto impazzendo? Ah, eccolo.
Hello. This is a recorded message scheduled either by you or a person in your place of work. The purpose of this message is to warn you about the dangers of recorded messages. If at any time you believe you are listening to a recorded message, please terminate it immediately and cease all flow of information from the recorded message into your perceptual sphere. Thank you, and have a pleasant day.
E l'achievement l'avevamo già preso. Però sta cosa dei messaggi registrati mi fa pensare al
The good old
Gamborra.
bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket, off on another thrilling adventure together.
Tengo paura.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Well, no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Tra l'altro, Corrigan, se ci sei ancora, sai che cavolo è la bump scosity?
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless...
Non avevo visto il
What if the
cartello.
problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket?
Oh no!
I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to
okay.
this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Ho molta paura. Ma seri? Siamo al cinema?
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios and you'll tell me whether or not the
Cioè,
thing I'm showing
teatro,
you is a
locale.
bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 2. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket? Incorrect.
Ah, ok.
This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket? What? Are you hallucinating? Is that a tractor? It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one.
Mi diverto troppo a far incazzare il narratore.
Is this a bucket?
È un po' come dare da giuto con un PG Lalafell.
Correct. This is a bucket.
In che senso? No, che dici, narratore?
Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
Come? Cosa sta succedendo?
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. Should be around here somewhere. Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart.
Oh
I
no!
can't have that. I'm sorry, but I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely.
No! No!
Okay.
Ti prego!
Here we go.
No! Il mio bucket! No, no, non separarmi dal mio
Is
bucket.
everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket.
Oh!
God, I had no idea. How could...
Oh!
Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go. I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just... Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfectly fine. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chin. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the...
Tempo di fare il confusion ending.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct?
Tempo di fare il confusion
never
ending.
mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door. Oh, good, Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually. You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it.
Lascia in pace il mio secchio.
Story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the...
Sì, ma insieme al
Let's do
secchio.
it.
Oh. Ah, il My Safe Place. Comunque mi piace come i miei amici che mi vogliono bene sono The Line TM, The Broom Closet, mia moglie, questo obbrobrio, il nostro computer, il temperamatite, e vabbè, che begli amici che abbiamo. Come si fa a non amarli? Seguiamo la linea.
Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
It's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
No. No. Il secchio resta con me. No, perché c'è quella luce orribile?
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of
No.
the bucket.
No.
That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This
Oh, no.
is the Bucket Destroyer.
Oh no!
I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
No!
Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say
No.
goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
No. Mio povero secchio.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the bucket
No.
destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
Cazzo!
The Bucket Destroyer. My prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Io non so come fanno. Sono sempre più senza parole.
A good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And
E
here
in
it was.
questo
Had the bucket
inizio
turned
sì.
out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yeah, no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Ma io voglio tornare giù, voglio vedere che succede se butto il bucket. No, lo faccio dopo. Possiamo ritornare dopo a distruggere il bucket. Non lo voglio distruggere il bucket. Potrebbe essere il layout alternativo. A volte compare un layout diverso. C'era scritto che c'era il meeting per quelli che cercano. Oddio! Warehouse Access Plan. 1. Produce one plank to allow ease of access past fence. 2. Construct bridge to allow collection of shiny float. 3. Retrieve Chris's remains from warehouse floor. No! 4. Construct new structurally sound bridge. We need more planks. No, vabbè. Vabbè. Aspetta. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sono 5 disegni, sono i 5 posti in cui si trova la statuetta. Uno si trova nell'ufficio dove c'è il caminetto, bisogna stare in silenzio. Uno sta nel water. Uno sta qua, oltre il percorso. Ah, uno sta... Ah, devo andare senza il secchio. Scelta tra la porta A o la porta B. E c'è la porta qui e dietro c'è la statuina. Qua invece la scala. Devo scendere dove c'è la luce. Ok, ok. Figata sta cosa. Places to search, mission status. LOL looks like 427. No! Five Derby, just take it from me. Gotta collect them all. Is this some kind of game? There must be a point to this. Stairs, something to do with stairs, somewhere both red and blue, nearby a fireplace. A private but smelly place for an important person. Possible clues? Cioè, c'è tutto un team di gente. Follow clues provided by employee 416. We can do it. Red room? No, vabbè, ma è folle. Thank you, good luck. Trust the completionist instinct. There will be a reward for finding them all. How we can find them? Bottom text. Maybe we are the collectibles. What we know, small floating objects have appeared across the office. We have to synergize resources. There are many questions. There was no memo from management. Ok. Agenda, how can you tell you have spotted one? What makes them float in the air? Who took these pictures of them? Ottima domanda. Ok, e si ripete. Maybe we are the collectibles. Shut the freak up! To whom it may concern, I managed to pick up sounds unusual to our regular office ambiances or local audio sources using an array of cardioid microphones, also known as directional mic, a microphone which picks up sound from a particular area. Analysis of the recordings allowed me to triangulate the source of the strange noise. Data shows that, in all likelihood, it's coming from a dark area behind a very warm place. I also picked up what looks to be reverberance of a porcelain surface. Anyone have any leads on this? Wouldn't you like to know? Difficult findings. Ok. Source of levitation. Perché mi fanno con quel naso? We're spinning figurines. Ideas. Do we need contracts for them? Potential liability, NDA. Employee 421 building a bridge. Saw one in cargo room. What do they want? Our data, stock options, money. Should we make them employees, interns? Maybe yes. Who do they look why do they kinda look like 427? Artist rendering employee 003. Why floating magic? Our quarterly success? Magnets. Training exercise or moragerens? Our managements? No, training exercise by managements? Dreams. How many are there? 1 minus 151 Psi? 6. Can we sell them? Obviously. More money if sold together. Buonanotte Giuto. Grazie mille per essere passato. Bonus stuff. What we know? What we forgot? What we don't know yet. Why wouldn't they just tell us something will happen? This investigation, this room, they feel pointless, to be honest. To-do. Help! I'm a post-it! Merda, questo lo devo fare in ufficio. Devo prendere un post-it, lasciarlo con scritto Help, I'm a post-it. Stop kidding yourselves. I want to go home. I want them so much. There will be cleaning of this wall required. Who are you? 666 lol. Lies. No, vabbè. Vabbè.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket.
No!
You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons. It was worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends? That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley. Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
Detti, è il mio bucket.
Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go. There.
Perché
Now it's
Stanley?
settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things. All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see? I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker. You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
Niente? Ok.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Oh, eccola!
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands?
Mini
Stanley
stands.
bags? What about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these.
He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort.
Oh no.
And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. Now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley!
Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful.
Oh
Stanley
no!
doubled over in agony and blacked out.
Oh no!
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
In che senso she backflipped? Beh, questo gioco è geniale.
All of his co-workers were gone. What
C'è
could it
più
mean?
bisogno di ripeterlo,
Stanley decided to go to the
repeaterlo,
meeting room.
di ripeterlo ogni volta. Oh, ci sono gli sticker!
Of an old friend, a weathered companionship that stands the test of time.
Cosa sta succedendo?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas, no stickers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Oh.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
The Stanley Rings. No.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Eccola.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler and Marines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler and Marines. None of us can. The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back up? When I was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again. The bucket said nothing.
Cos'è sta cosa del numero 3?
Here we are, said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3 over and over and over. Wow, he said. The number 3 is such a special button. I'm having the time of my life. Stanley looked expectantly at the bucket, but the bucket remained silent. This was a shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket. How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was to him? Once Stanley had had enough of the number 3, he got back in the elevator. Perhaps the bucket had missed something. Perhaps it had not seen how much joy Stanley got from slamming the number 3 repeatedly.
Che assurdo, hanno ripensato ogni singolo finale del gioco col secchio.
Understand how much the number 3 means to me. You and I have been through so much together, and I just want you to see what
Tutti
I
quanti.
see. Feel the happiness I feel. He smiled at the bucket, and the bucket said nothing.
Vabbè. Che dire.
Here we go, said Stanley. This time I'll really show you. He ran to the number 3 and began to wail on it like a musician on a beloved instrument, weaving a concerto of truth and passion. He wielded the number 3 like a fine artist would wield a paintbrush. He told stories through the number 3, stories of his dreams and hopes and fears, and the whole time he looked to his bucket for a reaction of some kind. Anything to let him know that the bucket appreciated what he was doing. The bucket conveyed absolutely nothing at all, only silence. Crushed by a wave of dejection, Stanley returned to the elevator. Stanley and the bucket were so close. They'd always been there for one another. Why suddenly could the bucket not connect with this passion of Stanley's? The question caused Stanley to ruminate the whole way down the elevator. He knew that there must be a way to get through to the bucket, to communicate fully with his dear friend. Surely there was a solution, mustn't there be? Said Stanley. I know what to do. I know how to fully express this feeling in my heart. He decided right then and there that he would hold a press conference where he would speak to the public on all matters relating to pressing the number 3 over and over. He would elaborate fully on what the number 3 meant to him and why he felt so alive when pressing it. Then the bucket would be able to see his joy through the eyes of others. It would get to see the world react to this discovery of Stanley's. And it would be through the public eye that the bucket would finally understand Stanley's work. For months, he advertised and marketed his press conference, building excitement around it, developing and rehearsing it, until it couldn't be refined a single measure further. When the big day arrived, Stanley was as prepared as he'd ever been for anything in his life. This was it. One last chance to win the bucket over. One opportunity to share a true connection with a loved one. There was no one here. Nobody had come to the press conference to hear Stanley speak, to listen to him talk about what it really means to press the number 3 on a keypad over and over. He was unloved, uninteresting, he was a failure. And in that moment, Stanley knew that the bucket would never again take him seriously. There would be no connection, no deeper understanding. The bucket merely sat there in his arms, indifferent. And so it began that slowly, over many years, the two of them grew more and more distant. They spoke less and less, neither wishing to state the obvious, that any sense of real respect between them had eroded since that day at the press conference. There would be no more games, no more long conversations about passion and pursuit. only a silence that consumed the space between friends. And Stanley, having for once in his life discovered the warmth and comfort of true companionship, was cast back into the unremarkable normalcy of loneliness.
Ma che finale triste! Tempo di andare a prendere l'ultima figurina. Ancora?
Hello. This is a recorded message scheduled either by you or a person in your place of work. The purpose of this message is to warn you about the dangers of recorded messages. If at any time you believe you are listening to a recorded message, please terminate it immediately and cease all flow of information from the recorded message into your perceptual sphere. Thank you, and have a pleasant day.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about.
What? Really?
I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully.
And there it is, the last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment,
Stiggly
Stanley.
Wiggly.
This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for? Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place... No, wait. Where are you going? Oh, no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley, No! Oh, no. No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this? Stanley, let's go back to the other room. My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be
Ed è
rid of
troppo
it?
triste
You're
il
literally
narratore
willing to
così.
kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly?
No. Aia.
Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore.
I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours. Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Che tristezza ogni volta. Ok.
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines, those figlets. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love
Infatti
nothing
sto
more
dicendo,
than to
questa è la
revisit
memory
the
zones.
figurines. Just one more time.
Now remembering when Stanley found the collectibles. Ok.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
Oh! 7 su 6.
And here was a second Stanlerine. You found this one all on your own, just by poking around in the warehouse. You did that, Stanley. I'll be honest. Back then, I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways.
Meno male. Un sacco paura.
Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini Stan? Can you remember? Hey, that's exactly right. It was here, under the stairs. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your third time doing anything. Let's see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a figley in this pink room. Oh, well,
Oh.
I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
Che posto è mai questo?
This was the 5th mini Stan, and this one was really something special. It was behind the boss's office. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion.
Oh no! Ancora i suoi video! Ah. Vabbè. Con che risoluzione? Dio mio.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else. And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like. And then there was no more, because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, Memory Zone. No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
Pianta! La pianta! Maledetta pianta. You are in the past.
Okay, yes, the room with the red and blue doors. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going, I want more. And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched?
No! No! Ti prego!
Yes, I love that video. Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room. These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have neutered the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one. This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
Hey! The
Look,
jump
it's the
circle!
terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then, but time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more memories. Oh, yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one. And before everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember. Yes, I'm remembering something now.
Oh!
I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy, and I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions, he would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Geniale. Geniale, ma si è fatto tardi. Direi che stacchiamo qua. Prossima volta dovremmo riuscire a finire. Mancano... Bisogna buttare il secchio e poi c'è tutta la parte dopo l'ufficio del boss, dopo l'ascensore, da fare con il secchio. E immagino che... Cioè, o ci sarà nuovo contenuto oltre, ma non credo, oppure avremo finito con tutte le cose che dobbiamo fare. Sono contento che abbiamo collezionato le figurine e anzi, prima di staccare a sto punto per le figurine, andrei nell'ufficio.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. The bucket made Stanley want to be a better man and a better co-worker. In time, perhaps, he would become both of those things. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Prima di staccare voglio solo controllare l'ufficio qua per vedere se ci sono cambiamenti.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more
Chiaro?
than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
Se ne sono andati, non c'è più il club per ritrovarli perché le abbiamo trovate tutte le statuine. Bene, a questo punto allora è il momento giusto per uscire nel menu e salutarci. Oh! Proprio cambiato il menu. Bello! Mi piace un sacco sta cosa. Va bene, va bene. Detto questo, noi ci salutiamo qua. È 00:40, quindi dubito che Orprof sia ancora online, ma controllo. Ah no, oggi non è andato in live, giusto, che ha scritto che era fuori. E allora niente. Come sempre non c'è nessun altro di quelli che conosco. E a questo punto io direi che ci possiamo salutare qua. Io vi ringrazio tutti quanti, quelli che sono passati a farmi compagnia a chiacchierare, ringrazio anche quelli che sono semplicemente passati a lurkare. Perché sta laggando così tanto il gioco non lo so, ma non importa, perché noi ci salutiamo qua, ci vediamo settimana prossima a partire da martedì, domani se riesco mando la schedule, ma gli appuntamenti dovrebbero essere i soliti. Pensavo di ritornare agli slot precedenti, cioè martedì facciamo Tunic e mercoledì Armor Core, principalmente perché probabilmente venerdì salta, visto che c'è il compleanno, e preferirei dare più spazio a Tunic che ad Armor Core, che abbiamo già finito e stiamo facendo il New Game Plus. Detto questo, io di nuovo vi ringrazio e vi auguro una buona notte. Alla prossima. Ciao ciao!